Welcome to Business Prowess with Rafael and Dr. Andrea. Our show will bring you the best insights, ideas, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs and CEOs in the business world. Don't miss out on the opportunity to learn from the best and stay ahead of the game. Sifu Rafael is the founder of 5 unique shows. He's a fitness professional, solutions expert, executive coach, and head instructor at Max Martial Arts and Fitness in New York. Dr. Andrea Adams-Miller is an award-winning international keynote speaker, best-selling author, and CEO of the Red Carpet Connection Publicity, Publishing, and Talent Agency, and CEO of IgniteYourRelationship.com. Known as the Dream Maker, she makes visionaries' dreams come true, bigger than they ever dare to desire.
Dr. Andrea, happy Friday. How are you?
Hunky-dory.
Yes, you always are hunky-dory. I love that.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Great smiles, great attitude. What can we say?
Always. And here it is, October already.
I know.
Oh, and
You're having fun.
I have good news to celebrate.
Let's hear it.
I'm 1 year cancer-free now.
Woo!
So colorectal cancer no more. So how good is that?
Congratulations. Wow.
Thank you.
And you were a trooper when you did have the surgeries because you were on the show the next day or something like that.
Yeah, I did show up. that was in a hospital gown and all.
There you go.
Yeah.
Guess what? We have an exceptional human being with us. Let's go ahead and bring her on. Carlee Wolfe. Carlee, happy Friday.
Hey, happy Friday. Happy Friday to you both. And congrats on the 1 year. That's incredible. It's also Cancer Awareness Month in the conversation, so it's important to be celebrating, not only celebrating those, but having the conversation, make sure people are getting checked and staying on top of their health game. So thank you for sharing that about yourself. And I'm just going to add on to it. I had a friend post the other day who was on a journey, and her ask was, people just trust your body, trust your instincts when you can. Not that that's the only way to catch it, but don't question yourself.
This morning, I actually, at 8 a.m., I had a doctor's appointment for my yearly checkup. Usually I see my doctor at least once a year.
Yeah.
But, she's like, oh my gosh, everything looks great. Your blood flow is great. Circulation, your EKG came out great, all these different things. But I wouldn't know those unless I went for my checkup. Right.
Absolutely.
And here's the funny thing. She goes, are you on any medication? I'm like, you're my doctor. I'm not on any medication. She goes, I'm just checking.
Just checking to see if you're cheating on her, getting around other doctors.
I'm with another doctor taking some secret meds. And I said, no, you know what? And I want to keep it that way. She goes, good for you.
Yep.
So, but every day we get a chance to look at ourselves, to imagine what life would be like if we didn't do the greatest things that we could do for ourselves every single day. And one is listen to your body. I love that you talked about that.
Yep. Listen to your body and trust your gut, right? We know ourselves best.
I can give a little bit more about that. So last year, when they found the colorectal cancer, they wanted to do the surgery within 2 weeks. And I said, no. I said, I need 10 weeks I feel like I need to prepare. So I wanted to start walking more every day because I knew that I'd be down and I wanted to be able to physically get up without having to use any stomach muscles or anything. And I'm heavy set and tend to be sedentary. So I knew I needed to do something different. But I also had a feeling like something was up. And so then I noticed that on my x-rays that there seemed to be a darkening at my uterus area. And I said, what's going on with that? And he goes, oh, you're going to have to see, gynecologist. And I'm like, okay, great. And I saw one within 2 hours. I left that appointment and was in an office, legs up, 2 hours later with a gynecologist, not just with a random person, just so you guys know. And that's my bum joke. And they ended up deciding that there was suspicious. I never got a confirmation that there was any cancer or anything, but it just kept coming up suspicious. So I chose to, I did some other biopsies and surgeries, and I'm like, this is silly. Why do people, why are we doing this? Why don't we just take that? If we suppose it's a problem, I'm past reproductive age, why don't we take what we think is a problem and then take the other things that we know are a problem and do it all in one day? So I created that, where I got 2 doctors from 2 different health systems who perform surgeries on different days to all engage and work on the same day. So it's really important when you said that about following your own instinct. I knew something wasn't right. So I would have had another secondary procedure, which would have been even more time down. And then that suspiciousness, is just not healthy. And so people are often, I was told no every step of the way, and I kept pushing until I heard yes. So you definitely have to be an advocate for your own care, and have to read and, and find people in your world who will help support the decisions that you want to make. So, talk about building trust and talent with the purpose. You need to find people in your life to do that. So thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, no, you were building trust in yourself, that, listening to your own body and understanding that, hey, you know what? Why don't I have to be under anesthesia twice? We can do it all at once. And that I got to tell you that probably many of the people who went along with the procedure said, wow, we love the fact that we're all here together today, because we're putting less stress on her body.
Yeah.
And it was because of your trust in yourself.
Well, thank you. It was definitely something that's quite interesting. And it's been interesting too. I would have never realized the impact of sharing my story. How many people have said, I was told I was supposed to get that done and haven't done it. And then, oh, wow, I had this happen, or they noticed this and caught that. And so it's the impact of the situation has really helped a lot of other people as well, and for them to be more resilient in it. So I'm glad that came about. So I really don't have any negatives about it at all. It went really well and quick. So there you go.
Love it. So let's talk about building trust in business, in negotiations, in colleagues. One of the people that's truly an expert in that is Carlee. Carlee, because of what you do, would you share with us how important those aspects are?
Sure. So just like light background, which is that I've spent my career in talent organizational development, working in all kinds of organizations, nonprofit, for-profit, also spent some time in consulting. So have worked in all kinds of businesses, different shapes and sizes, and people in the operations. And I think trust is just kind of the foundation of how we move in our work. And trust can be defined in so many different ways, from, we'll call it kind of the hard delivery facts, which is that I have trust that the future of the company and where we're headed with our strategy is where we're headed, and I can contribute to that, right? So there's like vision and clarity for contribution. But I think really what we're also talking about today is the trust amongst like the human factor, trust with my colleagues, trust with my leader, trust with the people I work with, maybe even if it's outside the organization. And trust is the foundation that leads to connection, that leads to better results. And I think is a cornerstone of everything when we talk about leadership, team effectiveness, healthy culture.
Integrity and trust are
go for it.
Very important to me. I've come to the point now where if I can't have that within whoever I'm working with, or I'm starting to question it, I am cutting those things off right away. I just, it is, when you think about, health outcomes as well, the stress of not being able to have that trust or questioning it leads to those negative implications, because then you're, laying awake at night worrying about it and so forth, and things happen that you're not expecting. So I am not associating with people who have not been able to show trust. It's that important to me.
Well, I think that's an interesting perspective, right? Because I'd be curious to for you to share in your business and your work, how that, I would imagine that that's really powerful too, right? You only have so much time in the day, how many trust with so many partners. In the world I come from, I work for a large organization. And so I don't just get to say like, okay, like, hey, Sifu, I'm out. Like, I don't trust you. Like, good luck with your project. We have to like, really difficultly like sort of navigate around these things. And so it becomes this, which back to like productivity and efficiency, like these are the things that ultimately get in the way. So to your point, you can't walk in a big company or a company where you have folks that you're reliant on or structurally reliant on. You don't get to walk away. So what are you left with? A difficult and tension-filled relationship that ultimately impacts on what you can deliver. So very good point, and I think highlights the importance of.
Very much so. I used to, well, I don't know why I said used to. I guess I just haven't recently. I've had clients have me come in and work with conflict resolution, or I guess not work with it, but to diminish conflict resolution in their executive offices because of that, when, especially with, if you've got one bad seed and with the, the rest of the apple bunch, it affects the other apples, and, trying to bring that out and then still being wary of how HR and all the systems are with handling people who are being difficult or creating challenges, yet maybe still get their work done, but are difficult to work with. And then how do we, so that people don't trust them because, they either they're gossipy or they just cause problems, or they're like the naysayer who points out everything negative. And so the more that I have found, the more that I'm incorporating neuroscience to help people resolve trauma and not take things so personally, they're able to be more effective with how they handle things. And that does diminish some of the negativity that can happen when you're in a large situation where you have to work with people who don't always behave.
Yeah. And on the neuroscience front, I mean, there's a big conversation, or it has been around for a long time, around psychological safety and the impact of that. Like right now we're talking about like the relationship maybe you have with another person, even not only that relationship with the person, but the environment that's being set. Without that psychological safety, which impacts our, our brain and neuroplasticity and how we're moving in that moment, right? Then we're not as innovative. We may not feel as open to share ideas. We don't feel comfortable or maybe confident, which puts us also maybe in a place where we're not listening the same way that we could be, right? All of these things start to play in as the wild world of humans that we are, and the dynamics that, in this case, potentially like work situations kind of bring out. So love that you brought that up, because I think it's important to keep that in, and to know that, a lot of research has been done in that space. We're not just sort of, kicking around concepts. These are real things. And I'm sure we can all like name times when that's like happened to us. But, Sifu creates a safe space here. We're able to talk about things, but if he wasn't being very nice, I don't know, maybe we wouldn't be sharing like some of these concepts. Could be like, well, what do you think about that? What would he say? Not to pick on you. You're just you're just here. The three of us are just chatting, but I think it's a good example. But no, I think encourage people to think about that moment, because we've all been there.
Well, we're also, it's interesting because a lot of people are sharing their thoughts and opinions and feelings on modalities like this, and where, unless we have the comments up and we're seeing what people are saying, and it's whether it's live or not, we're not always aware of how other people may attack or criticize or celebrate whatever that we're saying. And so then that comes around then later as well. And that certainly happens in a work situation, especially if someone's talking about something in their personal life, but then it's seen or heard or talked about in the workforce situation. That can create some conflict as well. And so I love that. On one hand, we're very safe here until everybody else hears it. And then are we?
Well, let's run it. I think it's a good test on the network, because to your point, like right now it's quiet, so we could create safe space. But to your point, maybe if tension or a disruption comes in, how do you hold? And I think that's a good testament of teams. And when we'll call like conflict or stress comes about a group, maybe how do you name that and pay more attention to it? Right, we're in a time in work where there's a lot of like reorgs, there's economic pressures, just to name two things, and you start to bring out like real personal emotions, right? Maybe we're like afraid or unsure, and so that starts to create tension. Forget about even like the things at work. So then how do you start to name that so that right? We at least know where we're starting from. We're not starting from a full tank, right? We've already come in with some depletion. And so it's okay to recognize that, because I think that also fuels trust.
Definitely. Sifu, how do you do that with your students? How do you talk to them about like how she was talking about how, these things that come up for pressure and how to help them to be resilient and have resolve through, whether it's like literally a gut punch or a crisis that's coming.
A lot of times I talk to them about how they feel. How do they feel when somebody does something? How do they feel when they do something? How do they feel when they accomplish something? So they also know that they're in a safe space, that they can communicate that. Because a lot of places, it's more like, be quiet and do what I tell you, and then we'll get along great. No, you won't. No, you won't. It's a one-sided relationship. It has to be two sides. So I think building trust is where you can feel comfortable even speaking to your boss, speaking to your colleague, speaking to someone, and say, I don't like that happened, or that action that was taken by so and so. And it's not going behind somebody's back, but it's maybe pointing something out that may benefit everybody if it was openly discussed, or even going to that person and saying to them, listen, I really respect you, but that thing that you did, I'm not, I don't understand it. So can you explain to me why you did it? And so that starts to build trust. Maybe somebody did something really bad and they didn't realize it. But instead of somebody coming and attacking them, say, could you explain it to me? All of a sudden they'll go, I thought I was doing this, but I realized I did this other thing. Thank you for pointing it out. So now they trust you, that you're not coming and attacking them. You're helping them. So I think we need to look at that and how we establish that trust by the words we use, by the actions we take. And also accountability is huge. As a leader, if you're not accountable for your mistakes and you pass them up, hopefully nobody noticed them, the trust is not going to be there long term.
Yeah.
Definitely. Carlee, I wanted to mention something else. You've worked with some large brands. I know Sifu, you've worked with some people who are very high level in the martial arts, and people who've been high level in other areas of their life and utilize martial arts as part of their, some people might call it a hobby, but it's not their hobby. It's more of a way of living their life to be able to have control of their mind and their systems, and to be, I can't think of the word, but this greatness about them that they do through martial arts that helps them into their professional life. And then I've worked with celebrities and athletes as well. And there's a level of trust that they have to have. And it's not that it's a different trust, but when someone has great money or a name or a brand, there are different aspects of trust that they have to have when they work with people. So Carlee, I wanted to hear what you had to say about, working with these people who have, this big impact.
In terms of like how they're building trust, navigating through trust.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and how you help them with that, and how they trust you in those things.
Yeah. Well, maybe to touch on the first part, because it actually like makes me think of, and I'd love your thoughts on this, like potentially you mentioned like working with celebrities. Like there's this, depending on what level leader you're talking about, like an executive at a large company, they're very far removed from someone you like put in the frontline space, right? It could be 20 layers away, 100,000 people beyond, right? Type of scale. And so how do you build trust? And I think the first perspective I have is trust shows up in a lot of different ways, right? I think trust at that executive level is, as a company, are we sort of doing what we said we would do? Am I saying things that connect with the understanding and the voice of the people that work in an organization? There's a lot of ways executives can tap into that. Employee engagement surveys, focus groups, listening from different getting out on the road and listening to different folks and their needs and keeping that open. And then by listening, what are you doing with it? So I think there are these, I'll call them like indicators, right? You have moments as executives to say, to do, to impact where people like see you, they see you and feel that. So I think from an executive perspective, it's like, what are the couple of things that I'm going to hang my hat on that help build trust in this organization? And how do I continue to show up, reinforce, inspect what I expect, know that the employees are also inspecting me on what they expect, and that we have an understanding of that trust. And I think one part we haven't talked about, but is part of this conversation, is purpose. And through a clear purpose, that is the platform that gives executives to then choose what are those couple of things that I'm really going to drive home, because we all know what our purpose is, and I can do my part in reinforcing that. I'll pause there because I think we like multiple layers of, executive down to frontline employee. We also talked about celebrity, but the one thing I wanted to share when you were talking about celebrity is I imagine it's a little bit of that. Like you just have, right, you're in the public eye, but you're removed from the public eye, right? Because really nobody touches you. So what are your moments to build that trust? So I don't know, I'm curious if that connects with you and your experience, because I guess there are some things that are similar, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
all of the above. Sifu, do you want to address that first?
No, go ahead, and then I'll follow.
Well, so there's a couple things that came out just from knowing what you've done, Carlee. So just to recap Carlee has worked with large brands like Under Armour and was it Hyatt or Hilton? I can't remember.
Hyatt Hotels. Yeah.
Hyatt Hotels. And then also with the USA Volleyball team and other Olympic and Paralympic aspects of things. And then I've worked with a lot of celebrities and influencers and CEOs myself. And I know Sifu has worked with these people as well. So first of all, they have to trust us and to be able to be vulnerable, to tell us different things. And then I was thinking of the other level of trust, because I do have some clients who have what I call different abilities, which often is more seen as disabilities. And how they have to have a trust in people, even just with their equipment and how they move and are transported and the things that they do. So they have to trust people to accommodate their needs, because there are needs that need accommodated. And then yet just the whole trust of being a human being to someone where they don't have to be on. And so that's part of it I was thinking as well, because it's like they have to turn their head like those little Cupid dolls where like, here I'm the influencer, I'm the celebrity, I'm the CEO. And then here I am, I'm like, oh, I actually have to manage this company and I have to play the game and I have to say the speech. And then over here, they're like, and I have to manage people and talk to them. There's so many aspects of that.
Yeah.
There is a lot of aspects to each one of us, right? How do we show up for our family? How do we show up at work? How do we show up for our colleagues and even for our friends? And one of the things that when we build trust, I've had clients who are with me for over 25 years. And if I didn't build trust, they wouldn't be with me.
Yeah.
I have clients who are celebrities, and I had a young client who was shooting a movie in Australia. When she got back around, she came to visit. She came to say hi. She didn't have to do that, right? Because I know how busy and crazy she is. She's going all over. I have another client who's also a celebrity, and he's in the movie industry and so forth. And he's shooting a movie somewhere else. And he reached out to me recently. And he just wanted to say hi, because it's top of mind, right? When you trust somebody and you want to stay connected with them because maybe they impacted you in one way or another, I think the trust goes beyond the office, right? Because if you're going to go out to lunch with somebody, you don't go with somebody that you don't trust that they'll have your back, if you will. You don't go out to a facility or an area where you don't trust the person. When I was a personal protector, if you will, I was a bodyguard. They trusted that I had the ability to protect them. When I was a chauffeur, they trusted the fact that I had the ability to get them to a place safely. And so for me, it's how do we build the trust, and how do we do it with purpose, where we understand that we all have a role. If you're a celebrity, you have a role to entertain, but you also have a role to be a human being. And some celebrities forget that part. And so the celebrities I've ever worked with, they understand that part, because if they're only celebrities and that's all they care about, I really don't want to work with them.
Yeah.
Because to me, your heart has to show up first. And then therefore, now we can connect. So that trust comes in so many different ways, like you talked about, Carlee. We need to know who we are. And most of all, we need to trust ourselves. We talked earlier about that gut instinct. Listen to your body, understand who you are, how you show up, and why you show up. So there's your purpose, there's your timing, and how do you bring your talent to showcase who you are, so people can go, I want to know that person. Yeah. Because nobody looks trustworthy. And I know a lot of people say, you look trustworthy. I'm afraid of those people until they actually show that they're trustworthy. I don't go by looks alone, because looks alone are deceiving. And they always say, you can't judge a book by its cover. And they're so right, because the cover may be all pretty and all dolled up, but until you open the book and read each chapter and read each word and the intention behind it, you're not going to know what the book's about. So and that's how you build trust, with every page that turns, with every chapter. And we're like books, right? Everything we do, somebody's reading us.
Yeah.
Oh, you led me to want to pose a question to both of you. So I've always had a strong belief. I consider myself a journalist as well, because I do publicity and write articles and so forth and press releases. And thank you, Sifu, for posting that. So I have always believed that, even though I have my own opinions how things are in the world and how things shouldn't be in the world, I celebrate and welcome that people have a different opinion of me, even if I don't agree with it, because I'd rather everybody have a voice than to have no voice. However, I also tell them, instead of just complaining or, whining about things or being hateful or mean, actually write or do things that can make a difference, so that way you have a point to what it is that you're talking about. And so recently I've been asked to support someone whose political beliefs and thoughts and ideas don't correspond with mine at all. Not at all. And I really thought about it first. I'm like, could I do this? Could I support or help someone? And then do I want to? Would I want my name attached to that? And then I thought, because I believe in both voices being heard, I think I actually stand as a model to support that someone else has different opinions and views than mine, and allowing them to be seen and heard just the same as I would for someone who has mine. And so to me, that's trust and purpose here. I wondered what your guys' thoughts are with that.
Go ahead, Carlee.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you ended where I'd like to start, which is around purpose. And I'm also going to connect that in with something Seafood said earlier, which is like why. I think the why we do what we do. So in your case, you're getting an example like, well, why would I work with this client? Why do I do what I do? And part of your why that I'm hearing you say is you want voices to be heard and you want them to be out there in meaningful ways, and all voices for that matter. And I think that the why is our purpose, which then helps us to define and examine where trust can come from. So Simon Sinek had this model, like from Inside Out. If you've ever seen it, it's on YouTube. It's like 3 circles, like why, how, and what. And oftentimes we start with the what. So I'm going to play into a sports analogy because Sifu inspired me, but we also talked about my volleyball experience. Like the what could easily be in like volleyball. Like, did I ace that serve? Did I get that kill on a hit? Right. But really we want to start with the, like, go in, like that could be the outcome. The, what is it? The touch or the coaching to build that skill, like in that moment. But going back to the why, like, why does that matter? Well, we need to get points to win. I need to get better at this skill so I can be more effective, whether that's just in getting the point, but like maintaining the health of my body. So that's our why. We like want to win together. The how is about like, how do I orient myself as an athlete? Like I have different skills than both of you. So how do I get there looks different. And then the what of the execution. And these are all things that layer into trust, into purpose, but starting and understanding that the why and our purpose, I think begins to then orient to how we do it and what it looks like. So back to your example of your client, I think that's how you played it out. What's my purpose? Who do I exist here? And then how I'm going to do it? Well, I'm going to still position them and I'm going to do it in the way with that client need. And it's going to show up in the what, which is ultimately what their message and their reach is. So this is something I'm giving, maybe this is like the pull back of the curtain, although it turns out Simon Sinek's behind it. But you asked earlier too about like coaching and working with leaders. I think having some of, whether it's a framework or having just some like language and metaphors to kind of get in and outside of maybe the business context to really peel back to say, how can I build trust? How can I lead with purpose? Because it gives us clear understanding. Then we can work against it, which is the what, or the how, and then we have the results, which is the what. All of these things layer in. It's dynamic, but it can be intentional, which I think gets us really good results, whether it's in the gym or at work, or in the example today, which I love, which is like on camera.
I love that.
Yeah, very interesting. Because I watch and consume a lot of reels, and it's interesting because other people might consider that I'm like doom scrolling, but I'm learning and observing quickly and fast, which is how I like to learn, and I choose to watch people who are doing things of impact or not of impact as well sometimes, and so that I'm hearing how other people are falling in line, because certainly people who are having what I consider negative impact have huge followings. Like I'll give the example of the Kardashians, because to me, for that show and that family is following by drama and negativity and a certain way. So obviously that's my opinion. So obviously I'm not watching, not observing. I will catch a minute or two here or there throughout the year so that I'm aware of what's going on in the world. But there are so many people who follow that negative mindset and those negative things. So by not being aware of what they're consuming and thinking about completely, I think limits us from realizing how other people live and respond. And so we lose other people's model of the world if we only look at the things that we're interested in and only are aware of those.
That's very interesting. I have never seen the Kardashian show, but I did see something recently that she's brilliant because of the marketing and the amount of money that they're making. But it only goes to show that a lot of people want that emptiness that they're sharing. And it just goes to show that people are falling for nonsense, right? When there's so much better content out there. One of the shows that I said to my fiance, I said, I need to watch The West Wing again. And she goes, we watched it not too long ago. I said, yeah, but every other show is so dumb. That was a show that actually had you thinking. It was brain captivating, if you will. And one of the things, if you've never seen it, look up The West Wing. Oh, it's brilliant. And for me, I don't want to bend people to think my way. So when I train somebody, I train them so that they think for themselves. Of course, I give them fundamentals. I give them ideas. I had a client this week, who was supposed to do a physical training session with me. He shows up and he goes, I'm not feeling well. So I'm thinking he's going to cancel. He's going to go home. He goes, I just want to talk to you. Don't mind you the fact that he was paying me a lot of money. He didn't want to train. He just wanted to have a conversation with me because of that trust. This gentleman has been with me, I think, 19 years now. And he could have canceled the day before because he wasn't feeling good the day before. But he made a point to come in and just have a chat with me, right? And I said, even half hour into it, I said, "You sure you don't want to train?" He goes, "Absolutely not." He goes, "Thank you for taking the time to have this conversation with me, because I find so much value in it." But I've guided him in so many different areas of his life that he comes over and he'll ask me questions that pertain to nothing on what we're training on. And because I've built that trust with him, he values my opinion. And I think that that's something that we need to do more often. We need to have somebody's attention because they value what we're going to say, not because we're standing on a pedestal, because I will never stand on a pedestal unless I'm about to jump into a pool or something like that. And I'm going to have some fun or jump into a cliff or some, off a cliff. But it's different when others put you on a pedestal. And I also don't like that as much, because you put me on a pedestal, you're looking up at me and we're not sharing the same airspace, if you will. I want to be with you as a leader. I don't want to be all the way ahead and you're all the way in the back. I want to be in the back with you. I want to hold your hand and help you and guide you to wherever it is that you want to go. So when we look for leaders, that's who I look for. I associate with a lot of different people, and I had a friend reach out last week, and I'm sorry I'm going on a little long rant, but he reached out, and this guy is a grandmaster in a martial arts school. He has many schools, not only in Texas, but across the world. He's got them in Pakistan and India and Malaysia and all these different places. And he reached out, and I said, can I come over? Let's because he came to New York for a little bit. And he says to me, "Who else in the martial arts business are you talking to?" And I'm going to say, actually, I said to him, I'm looking at him. I said, I really don't associate that much with other martial arts school owners. And he goes, "Why?" I said, "Because that's all they ever want to talk about. They don't expand their horizons. So for me to expand my horizons, I got to talk to different people." I have friends who are doctors, psychologists, authors, publishers, people who own different industries. They own different organizations and so forth. So I can continue to expand my horizons. So I try not to limit myself so that my knowledge continues to grow with every connection I make. Thought I share that.
Yeah. I think you're highlighting something, you talk about building talent with purpose. Well, in that case, you're highlighting something. It's not about martial arts, right? It's about greater purpose of leadership. And that gives you orientation to do something wider and bigger. The other thing I was reflecting on is both of you were chatting, we were talking about kind of the celebrity effect. And I think that's why I've never been to a leadership program where we're like, let's do the like Matt Damon class of leadership. Like we're not like there to, and there's nothing wrong with Matt Damon, by the way. But we're not, I'm just like a celebrity people know, but they're not there in character or in these moments to talk about profound movement of human beings. When we talk about development, like growing talent and building trust, what we're there connecting on is greater purpose, purpose of developing as humans, purpose of making maybe a greater impact on our communities or with our teams. And I think purpose connects us to be able to develop talent and to be able to build trust. So I think these are both good. It's like examples on the scale. Why we may not see trust, we'll go back to the Kardashians, because the lane is specific, right? And it's not connected with many people on purpose, all the way to fill in the blank leader that we look up to, because their purpose probably tends to be things that matter in big ways. Again, development, connection, impact. And I would use maybe that continuum to open the question up for folks of like, where do you think you sit on the leadership continuum? What do you know what your purpose is? Is it a purpose that like resonates with like your values and how you can show up every single day? How do you connect others in that purpose? Especially, I think at work we hopefully have built-in purpose of our mission, but I think that's where then you start to connect yourself in purpose, which then if you lead with purpose, builds that trust. And I think also then enables the environment for development and building talent to come along with it, right? So appreciate the thinking out loud, and we'll just add, because I think we just sort of like went through that spectrum of why purpose is key and why we may or may not connect and where that can have impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for that. You speak well, so I like how you show up and the things that you're reflecting in our conversation here today. It is interesting because if you were from a publicity marketing viewpoint, the Kardashians are amazing, because look at how many people they get to follow and buy their products and their services, and to make all that happen. And by the way, I have it from a third party, like one person removed, on how those scripts are written. So their drama is even scripted. So how funny is that?
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Oh, for sure. We're not knocking the Kardashians. I like listened to Kris Jenner's, she's on Masterclass. She talked about building a brand. Yeah. I just think, in our topic today, talking about trust and talent, like developing talent with purpose, I just think they sit on a different angle of the spectrum on that. And for some people, they do have trust, right? So,
yeah, and I think their publicity and marketing is brilliant. As far as the content, I would beg my people in my family never to watch it, have anything to do with it. Unfortunately, they do not, because I do think it supports people being in conflict rather than seeing how to come together to move things towards a positive light and finding purpose and a deeper meaning. And those things are all super important to me. So you mentioned West Wing. I've never watched it. That's not true. I have watched the episodes that my friend Glenn Morshower was in, and he got an award or a nominee for that. So I've only watched I found out where he was and watched that clip. And I watch like shows like The Midwife if I am looking for an outlet to escape my mind, which is a really excellent history model of how people are handling things like change and health, welfare, and counsel, and accepting money for disabilities. And I watched an episode the other day with how kids with disabilities we're at a time where there was no mandates for them to have access to education, and talking about vaccinations and health ailments. And so I like stuff like that, where I'm very related to the purpose of how do we show up differently and work together to create opportunities for people so that they can show up bigger and better. So that is something that goes along with the whole voice thing for me.
I got to tell you, when I watched The West Wing, it was such a impactful, because they were talking about how they were writing the speeches for the president and all this, and all the different things that were happening. And it's also, if I'm going to watch something on television, I don't subscribe, but I can watch something a friend of mine has. It's on Plex, and I can watch certain shows that he puts on it, right? But I don't want to watch something just because I'm bored. I want to watch something because I want to be inspired. And the same thing with my smartphone. If I use it incorrectly, then it's no longer a smartphone. If I'm just scrolling because I have nothing else to do, I'm not using my time correctly. So I want to use my smartphone for smart things. And that's why they call it a smartphone. Can you imagine? Please buy this dumb phone for you. We don't want that, right? So when we think about anything, we should have a purpose as to why we do not just one thing, but everything. Let me share this with you guys. Take a look. You followed the rules, tried the restrictions, counted the carbs, the steps, and the failures. You're not lazy. You're exhausted from doing it all without real change. What if the problem isn't you? but the plan. Sifu's Mind Body Method is a 90-day transformation built on 7 unshakable pillars: mindset, movement, nutrition, hydration, fasting, journaling, and faith. This isn't another shortcut. It's your structure, your strength, your reset. You don't need harder, you need better. Ready to begin? Start today. One of the reasons I created that is because a lot of people kept asking me, what do you do? How do you do? How come you have so much energy? What are you doing all these different things? And so I wanted to share that with the world. And that's what I brought to everybody.
Love it.
At this point, believe it or not, 45 minutes fly when we're having fun and great discussions. What's one thing that you picked up from this show today, the conversation? I'm not asking you, but I'm asking the audience that they may be able to share with someone else. So we're asking everyone who's watching to share it with someone. And if you catch this on the replay, share it with somebody still. Thank you, Carlee, so much for being here with us. We'd love to get everybody to connect with you a little bit more. So we're going to put your information across the screen, your LinkedIn, right? What can somebody expect when they do connect with you?
Yeah, I'll share my connection, and if you don't mind, I wanted to also share one final thought too.
Of course,
So yeah,
absolutely.
feel free. Folks can definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm like open networker, so like follow, connect, shoot a message. Happy to spend time. Leadership and leading in transformation. We're certainly in the middle of it in so many different ways, whether it's at work, in our communities, in sport, etc. Those are a few themes we had today. Would love to have that dialogue, because we're better together, and there's always something to learn. So open dialogue. And just in the theme of today of building trust and talent with purpose, I think with purpose we have clarity. With purpose we have intentionality, and I think that's where you start to make moves in building talent and in building trust. When we have clear purpose, we have clear opportunity to invest in talent and to invest in trust. And those are all things that take little things over time, but little investments over time yield big results. And so I hope folks walk away with something inspiring, whether it's a question they had for themselves or a quotable from one of us, but enjoy the opportunity to have connected this morning. And again, folks are happy to can definitely connect with me on LinkedIn as well.
Yes. Make sure you connect with her. She's brilliant, and I'm just happy that I know her.
Oh, lovely.
Feel the same. Same about both of you.
Yes.
And I see that you're in Baltimore. So ironically, a lot of my clients have come from the Baltimore area, even though I didn't know where I met them like internationally, or I met them on the phone, had no idea where they lived. And so majority of the people that I know tend to live in that area, which is absolutely hysterical.
So, I love that. It's a good spot. It's a good area. Happy to share it with other good people.
Wonderful people in the area.
Yes.
So I'm Dr. Andrea Adams-Miller. I own the Red Carpet Connection. And so not only am I a master of neuroscience, but I utilize that to help people with their press and publicity and with their business consulting to help them dream bigger than they ever dared to desire. So I welcome you to connect with me anywhere. If you just look up Dr. Andrea Adams-Miller, I'm going to show up at a plethora of places, and I'll talk to you at all of them. And Sifu, please share about you.
Sure. Easy enough for me. I'm Sifu Rafael. I love helping people reset, restore, and rise, whether that's through their health, their communication, or the way they just show up in leadership. For me, it's not just about adding more to your plate, because sometimes your plate may be full. It's about giving you clarity and a proven system that fuels your purpose without you burning out, because too many people are burning out. You overdoing it, and you're not doing it the way you should be doing it. So I'm here to serve you in any way by helping you unlock your discipline, your energy, and your mindset that already lives inside of you. So how can you show up stronger for yourself, for your family, and your mission? That's who I am, and that's what I love doing and helping people with. Powerful conversations today. Everybody, do me a favor. Like I said earlier, Share the show. Great stuff, Carlee. Always love it when you're on the show, and keep coming. Let's go.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Appreciate spending the morning with both of you.
Yes. Well, thank you, everybody. God bless, and have yourself an exceptional rest of the day. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.